Hello and welcome to today's Yumbles seller interviews. My name is Katie Kittery and I'm one of the founders of foodie marketplace Yumbles.com. And I'm delighted today to speak with a dynamic chef founder from Whitstable, who is transforming condiments into really quite a culinary experience. So without further ado, Rachel, if I can ask you to introduce yourself and your fantastic business, Miam Jars.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm Rachel. I'm from Miam Jars, the chef and founder. I launched in April last year, and now I'm making delicious, fun, plant-based condiments, pickles, and sauces. Basically, anything delicious in a jar is what I love.
Perfect, great. So why condiments? Why pickles and preserves and things like this? What's led you what's your background and what led you to launching? Sorry, let me pronounce it right. Miam Jars.
It's my accent as well. It's terrible. So funny story. Actually, it's yum, and it's a French word for yummy. I used to live
Okay.
in France, and it's named for one of my favorite sandwich shops in France. But I've found that that's really hard to get anyone to pronounce. So actually, it's kind of in the miam. How do
Okay.
we say it? Miam. Well, I'll take
Got it. Miam. Yeah, Miam. We'll stick with Miam. Well, Yumbles gets called all sorts of things too, so I might. Perfect. Great. So yeah, what was the inspiration? What's your background? What kind of led to you to taking the leap and launching your business?
Yeah, so I've always loved pickling, preserving, fermenting, making oil, sauces, anything like that. But I was actually working as a chef in London, and I think for anyone who knows any chefs, they'll know that a chef's kitchen is usually one of the sort of saddest places in a house. There's, odd bits of things in the fridge, dying condiments, the hours are long, and you don't have a lot of time to create delicious food in your own home when you're creating delicious food for other people. So in an effort to sort of decrease food wastage and prevent sort of things from going off, I started trying to pickle, preserve, make condiments, sauces, something that I'd historically been doing. And then really found that these sort of tended to form the cornerstone of so many meals and delicious dishes I was cooking for friends and family. And it kind of just led in that kind of evolutionary way of like people asking for, oh, what was that you put in the flavor base of that curry? Or what was that drizzle? What was that salad dressing made out of? And I sort of saw there was a good opportunity maybe to move out of chefing, have a bit of a different lifestyle, and bring some of these flavors that really inspired me into that. The condiments, pickles, it could have probably been anything, but I just think I love a condiment shelf in a fridge. I think it is one of the quickest, easiest ways to make incredible meals. And they're so much more versatile than I think we traditionally think. We add them to things. Actually, use it as a marinade, use it as a flavor base. I mean, I spend maybe 6-7 hours distilling so much flavor into one jar. So it's sort of wasted to just add as a little add-on to a sandwich or a salad. So yeah, roundabout way, I think it's just an underutilized space, amazing flavors, and I think there's a real opportunity to revolutionize that space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really comes loud and clear in your range. I think it's really interesting that you do have that chef background because what you mentioned there, I think historically we're really guilty in the UK of kind of condiments are kind of just slapped on the edge of the plate or in the sandwich. But you've kind of alluded to so many use cases there, add marinades, dressings, sauces, So I think it's really interesting. I think your range is such a good versatile mix of flavor profiles, and you kind of are inherently, I think, inspiring people to think, oh, well, that's not just an add-in to the sandwich. There's something more I can do with it here. So
it's definitely one of the things I'm trying to do with the brand is to bring people into that cooking side and show actually it's really easy. So as part of the range, every week or two, I release new recipes designed to be sort of like 20-minute quick and easy things that you can do. And they're all kind of versatile. So if you've got odds and sods vegetables left in the fridge, if you've got a different kind of protein, it doesn't matter. It's just to try and show you the process of thinking a little bit like a chef. How would you create a meal with minimal ingredients, minimal time, but making it a really plant-focused or more plant-based, delicious kind of thing to do. So yeah, that's one of the things I love with the brand is hoping to do those dual sides of production and creation and recipe inspiration.
Yeah, it kind of brings your skill set all together. So obviously with your brand being kind of trying to almost evolve the space and evolve the category. You mentioned there you bring out one of the ways in which you're helping educate customers. That's going to be important for you is bringing out new recipes. So how are you distributing that content? Is social media something that you're spending quite a bit of time on?
Yeah, it was something I probably didn't anticipate when I started, because I'm really happy in the kitchen behind the scenes creating, and then realizing actually it's the marketing, it's the social media that are so important when you're trying to share information, share a brand. It's something I'm definitely learning. So yeah, with the recipes, I send them out on Instagram. I publish them on the website. Whenever I'm at markets or any kind of like trade events, I just have printed hard copies. And then I'm trying to get into the process of doing a monthly newsletter just to give people sort of a direct email update with recipes. But there's a lot to do when you're the only person in a business. So, it's an evolving process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to make it all freely available. And then whenever I talk to anyone, I forever say, just drop me a message on Instagram, send me an email. If you run out of ways to use it, you have any queries, hit me up. I love talking recipes and food. And I think it's part of that educational point when my products are maybe a little bit different. You don't necessarily walk into a supermarket or an independent deli thinking, today I need pickled mushrooms or a pineapple chili jam. And so I sort of see this real education point around that to try and show the versatility of these flavors that maybe seem a little bit unusual or bizarre.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of trying to introduce your brand and products at the same time educate, and that's
yeah.
can be challenging to do, but it sounds like you're doing some great activities there to help with that. Perfect. So so how you said, I think you said you launched about a year ago now. So you
Yeah.
kind of, have you had your 1 year anniversary yet? Have you had your birthday? Not quite.
No, coming up in 2 weeks. So
Ah,
that in itself is a crazy milestone.
yeah. Perfect. Great. So for you, I guess, very much coming it towards the end of your first year, what's been a real highlight achievement for you in this first year?
Well, I think it was having absolutely no expectation around what it was going to be. I was very much prepared for this to be a little bit of a side hustle and would sort of like grow and develop, and I'd keep chefing and would see what happened. But actually, I'd say the real highlight has been seeing my products on shelves. Like that was just a wow, this is a proper business kind of moment.
Mhm.
I felt like I was super lucky to get picked up by some really amazing independent retailers quite early on. And then we finished the year with actually being listed in Selfridges. So, when you grow up in New Zealand and you sort of see Selfridges in movies and it's these kinds of amazing things, you don't really see it happening. But actually, it's the little indies, I think, that I started with that are the most dear to my heart, because they were in my neighborhood, they were places that I shopped at. And then to sort of like go in and see your product there, that was really, I don't know, it wasn't something I'd sort of ever envisaged, and it was amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's a great result for a year in. It can take some time to build a good roster of independents and
Yeah.
Selfridges,
Yeah.
and everything else. And obviously, I know
Definitely a lot to go. The dream is to be nationwide. At the moment, I think
yes.
I've got 7 stockists. So, there's definitely
Yeah,
room to grow.
sure. But it's year one, and now you're on Yumbles too. So we'll
Yeah,
help you get
exactly.
that reach.
So
So
happy for that.
perfect. And what for you in kind of this first year has been a particular challenge? I mean, it's always challenging launching a business, but was there
Yeah.
anything that was a particular big challenge for you, or particularly surprising challenge for you?
So many things. I think it's been the most incredible year of challenges and learning, and sort of not necessarily pivoting, but kind of learning. I think coming from a chefing background is so, so incredibly different to being an FMCG. And there were just so many things that I didn't realize, and I didn't know the correct processes for things. I'd say probably the biggest challenge has just been having to go outside of my comfort zone. Like I sort of said before, my happy place is in the kitchen, chatting recipes and food. And then so having to sort of put yourself out there, trying to grow a brand, trying to do social media, trying to essentially all the selling kind of things, it just really it's something that I would so rather have someone else do, but you have to, it's your own brand. And I think a big sort of step has sort of been to learn that actually the knockbacks aren't personal, that actually there's so many other things going on for all kinds of different businesses and stockists and things, that actually it's not necessarily a criticism of you or the product.
Yeah,
but you've got to sort of get back up, roll with it, try again, try
absolutely.
something new. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think the journey of any business is not this.
Yeah.
There's so much learning. I think that's the key, is that you're open to that learning, that, none of us when we launch a business knows everything, and we're trying to do so many different hats or wear so many hats. So I think being open to learning, and not necessarily always pivoting, but being open to what I thought the business was versus what actually I think it needs where it
Yeah.
needs to go.
And I think it's, you don't know what you don't know. And so I
Yeah.
think it's been one of these really invaluable things of joining sort of certain like networks and being part of like sort of food founders community, where I'm just being given access to so much information. It really opens your eyes about what I do want to learn and where I need to go. And that kind of helps form a direction of something I thought I was kind of maybe going to on a Saturday sell a few jars at a farmer's market. And it's like, actually, this could be a real thing. Like there is a pathway here. It's just you've got to make it happen and talk to people and put it out there. So
yeah, perfect, great. So perfect. So have you fully left the chefing world, or are you still juggling the business and chef work?
No, I've gone full time with Miam Jars, though I can't quite leave it. So on occasion, I do supper clubs and I do some like corporate catering where I'll create feasts using every dish or every course will use one of the Miam Jars products to kind of showcase again that versatility of how you can cook with them. So no, cooking will always sort of be a part of it, but my day to day is in the production and Miam Jars.
Yeah, got it, great. So what do you most enjoy, I guess, about running this kind of business? And it's very different to chef work. So what is it you're finding you're enjoying the most about having your own business?
Honestly, I would say as much as it puts me outside of my comfort zone, the thing I love the most is attending sort of markets and events, and it's meeting customers, it's having people taste, it's having those conversations. And then most of the time we actually end up just talking about food and recipes. And I love those sort of moments when I'll meet people and they'll say, oh, my son's vegan and I never know what to cook with him, but I've been going through your recipes and now I feel like it's such fun having them around to do things. So it's those kinds of little conversations where it doesn't even need to necessarily relate to the Miam Jars or the products. It's just people talking flavor and food, and I find that really inspiring. And then sort of that leads into my happy place in the kitchen where I'm creating recipes and sharing them, and actually new product development. I've got 10 million ideas, and actually half of it is having to just sort of control myself and focus on what I've got and the current range and not have just endless limited editions. But yeah, there's exciting things planned.
Yeah, perfect, great. So I think you've got is it a 5-jar core range, or is it 5-jar core range? And then you are doing limited editions as well.
So I had three little limited editions come out earlier in the year, and then I've got a few planned for summer. But yes, I have a mentor, and I think the concept is around doing a few things really well and then growing as there is a natural occasion or need. But
it's challenging if you're full of ideas, I know. Great. And I think you alluded to it there, that you kind of have used and benefited from lots of different resources and networks and things. Are there any particular kind of resources, tools, networks that you found really useful in your first year of business?
Definitely. I think it's been one of the things I've found most incredible about starting a business in the UK. Not that I've started a business anywhere else, but I just feel like in comparison to New Zealand, I've really found there's just been such an amazing network of people and opportunities and support out there. So some of the key ones I think for me that I couldn't have done without was I became a member of Mission Kitchen. So they were a commercial kitchen space where food founders can operate from. But equally, it was everything that came with that. So it was being in suddenly a network of other food founders who were maybe a year, 2 years further down the journey, sharing that kind of information, having access to mentors, hearing sort of talks and discussions of other food founders. That was really invaluable. And then now that I'm based in Whitstable, I'm part of the Growing Kent and Medway Food Accelerator program, and that's just been invaluable for sort of understanding finances and marketing, and it's all these sort of things where it's so new to me to run a business, and that's really been amazing. And I think actually, as cheesy as it may sound, it's friends, family, and all of the customers who come give a kind word, share some feedback, give an opinion. It's all those kinds of things when it's like, I can create something flavorful and delicious, but it's my flavor. So I think it's really great to be able to have that open communication and work with people to sort of hear their views and what they love, what they would change, and sort of, I think it takes a community to raise a business.
Absolutely does. You can't do it all. And I think that product feedback is so important, particularly in the first year or two, to really kind of ratify and refine the product offering. So perfect, great. And are there any, I guess, particular consumer trends or maybe even economic trends and conditions that you're, as a business, trying to really be aware of and mindful of and affecting kind of some of your decision making?
I would say for me, the main focus is around it's being plant-based and it's being clean label. So having only ingredients someone would recognize from a home kitchen. We don't use additives. While our products are all naturally gluten-free and plant-based, they are for everyone, whether you're flexitarian, vegetarian, or whatever. With the recipe creation side, I try to really focus on vegetarian and plant-based dishes, just because I think there is so much out there in the other space. And I think it's really great to try and showcase that there is a way to be plant-based, clean label, but not be using meat alternatives or that kind of thing. In terms of consumer trends and economic trends, I think for me, I really try that all the recipes are not using fancy ingredients. It's actually, you know, they're not directly minimal ingredients, but it's trying to use pantry staples, using up what you have in the fridge. A lot of the stuff that I try and do is around minimizing wastage and eating seasonal. We are trying to move towards seasonal produce within the range, so only making the plum kasundi when we can access British plums. Those are the kind of things we're trying to move towards in the business. But obviously, when you're a little small
there's some practicalities
sort of,
in the beginning.
We're sort of a little bit less buying power with suppliers and things, but it's what we're working towards.
Yeah, perfect, great, perfect. And so, you know, if you were to go back a year and start again, is there anything you would do differently from what you've done this last year?
I think I would have maybe put more time and effort into understanding marketing and brand before I started. I came into it from a very product-led way. Product and brand, I think, are incredibly linked. So had I had a little bit more learning on board in advance of starting, I think that would have been super helpful. Or even if I had found a co-founder who was like brand and marketing was their thing, I think that would
your skill set.
Yeah, I think or even just having that co-founder in that sense to complement my skill set and give strength where I don't have strength, I think probably I would have learned some things a little bit quicker and it would have been slightly less stressful, but ultimately it is what it is, and now I'm on that learning journey. So yeah, the world's your oyster.
Perfect, great. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you, Rachel. I've loved hearing more about your fantastic business. And thank you so much for the time and sharing your story today.
And thank you to Yumbles.